So very shortly Saints Row is going to be released in a few months. We know that it was delayed back in February, which is when it should have released, and is now going to be released in August. We know that based on the old Saints Row games, they have been very buggy in the past, specifically the most recent one in the franchise. And also with Saints Row 4 we didn't have co-op, which was definitely like a big factor, for me at least, as to why I didn't play Saints Row 4. But I really enjoyed Saints Row 3, and even more so Saints Row 2 and Saints Row 1. And so what I'm really looking forward to with this new game is that it has co-op. It doesn't look like it's got bugs because it's been delayed, which hopefully means they should be fixed if there were any. There's also now, to me, a real hope that this game actually could be as good as people are purporting that it might potentially be. There's a few other things that I think people are generally concerned with. Part of it is, of course, that the Saints Row characters that we've seen so far as part of your gang don't very much seem like gang type people. And also the opposition gangs aren't like super gangster in the way that they appear. They're like very kind of like white collar, I want to say. And so I'm interested to see if they've revised that at all past what we know so far, because they very well could be. And I also want to know if perhaps my first impression there could be wrong. There's also a bunch of extra stuff that we know about Saints Row, and I kind of want to go over that now and kind of talk about why it could be good things for the series. First off, of course, Saints Row is a reboot. The new one is a reboot, which means that the old Saints Row and any lore from those games is no longer relevant to this game. Anything that happened previously, it's almost like everything's been reset. This is an alternate universe. So hopefully that helps you understand the context behind this game. It's set in the American Southwest, and it does not only include the city of Saints Row, but also the surrounding desert area. And so again, within that, we're going to see a larger area to, and they've confirmed this, a larger area to explore relative to other past titles. We also know that there's going to be a lot of cool abilities that we can use, on top of also having really cool weapons to use. Interesting mechanics like a flight suit. We also know there's 15 different districts, which is quite a lot, and that should offer us a lot of gameplay in that regard as well. That's another thing really to look forward to. Driving gameplay has been improved to encourage us to use vehicles as weapons alongside the guns as well. Again, something to look forward to. And so what we're seeing here is a trend of like positive things toward this game, and no red flags have yet come out. You know, there is co-op in this game, for example. It's a big one. The game will also include a detailed character creator, which I think a lot of people will spend time on but kind of like forget about. But definitely that's something that I've always enjoyed, and I suspect a lot of people will as well. We did also see that this reboot is intended to pull away from the wacky tone that Saints Row 4 and the later games in the series, which were kind of like low-key sequels, but kind of were also in theory kind of like DLCs of the same game of Saints Row 4. And those games are essentially they're moving away from those and going towards something that's a bit more like in a balance of being comedy and seriousness, which I think the Volition team, which is making Saints Row, are really pushing for. Now on the Saints Row Twitter, we've also got a bunch of different stuff that they've kind of talked about, and I wanted to go over some of those now because you may not have known about some of those. So for example, we do know that there's going to be a lot of really customizable damage within cars, and so when the car takes damage, it will look different based on the direction of the damage and also what type it is. So if it's a bullet, obviously it's going to look very different from crashing into a pole. And that kind of stuff with vehicles, I think like we really do downplay because of like Grand Theft Auto's ability to make damage models for vehicles like relatively decent relative to other games prior. And it seems that Saints Row is trying to keep that kind of stuff up. We do also know that there's going to be such a varied amount of different vehicles that you can drive in as well. And that's something, again, that we have seen at times a lot of games fall into, where there's only like 5 different types of cars. A good example of this is definitely Cyberpunk, but luckily it seems like Saints Row isn't falling into that trap and very much are making a lot of different vehicles that you can go for, and they're going to be customizing these vehicles, or like they're going to be scaling these vehicles based on 4 statistics: the max speed of the vehicle, the performance of the vehicle, which is likely going to be tied to its handling, and then you've also got another statistic for vehicles called durability, and the last one is going to be its off-road capability. We do know that the main way to buy and sell cars as well is going to be in like a shop which is specifically for buying and selling cars, called Jim Robs Today, and I think that's kind of like a fun little name there as well. Another thing people really do downplay is like there's some super fun things, like you can tow cars, and also you can customize cars so much that they essentially look like new cars with an entirely new body associated with them. And I think that like people really downplay that, because it essentially means you've got several different cars within the same car by the different ways in which you can create it. There's also like some really like funny stuff that they've been advertising as well. For example, there was a 24-second trailer surrounding a new type of stock that you could have for Saints Row. And I just kind of find it funny that they're like going to that like meta level of joking about the amount of customization that you can have in Saints Row by really kind of like, yeah, they're that in depth. Now there's also like some other like fun customization, like different sensors that you can have for different body parts, which I definitely think will be funny. And I think I remember in old Saints Row games they actually had other ways in which you could view those type of things, and yeah, definitely looking forward to that, because I think it's like quite funny to see that kind of stuff in video games. They did say that they can't show anything too crazy because like of EU laws, I think specifically, and even American laws do specifically prohibit certain things. As well as top on that as well, like Australia is very like careful what they allow into their games, which I know sounds a bit weird. I know Australia kind of, when you think of it, you think of like a more like relaxed group of people, but it is what it is. I did also want to finish off this video by saying, if you've watched this much of the video, you very well may likely benefit from subscribing, because I do release Saints Row video content every single day up until release, and then afterwards I'll be making a bunch of guides. So I very much recommend that you do that. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, like the video, it helps a bunch. And until next time, I'll see you guys around. I'm out. GG. Bye bye.